I have another white sign in the middle of my screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it is asking that, are you okay for this meeting to be live on YouTube?
Hello.
Hello,
Hello.
can you hear us on the phone?
Yes, I can.
Okay, we are about to start the meeting. We've just gone live. They will be starting the meeting.
There's a big delay.
No.
Yes.
Okay, they're going to be starting the meeting. We have somebody on the phone line. Okay, Jane?
Okay,
Okay, you're good to go.
thank you, Andre.
You're welcome.
Please let me know when it's 7 o'clock on your, or 6 o'clock on your computer, Hassan.
5:59.
Okay.
Six o'clock.
All right, we'll start the meeting. Good evening. This is Planning Advisory Committee meeting for December 7th, 2021, our last meeting for the year, 6 p.m. We have member Fouzi, member Rowe, member Paquette, and member Shine. And our recording secretary is Hassan. All right, so we'll open the meeting. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by member Rowe and seconded by member Fouzi. That the Planning Advisory Committee meeting be opened at 6 p.m. All in favor? And carried. Adoptions of minutes of the regular meeting held October 5th, 2021. Can I have a mover and seconder, please? Moved by member Fouzi and seconded by member Paquette. That the minutes of the Planning Advisory Committee meeting held October 5th, 2021 be adopted as circulated. Are there any questions on the minutes? Member Paquette?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Do you have a question regarding the minutes of October 5th? I can't hear you.
Are you asking me?
No,
No, sir.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, it's just, and it's not even a question, it's a comment. When the motion was passed with respect to the recommendation to grant the severance for the church, and the motion was passed at council, it was not exactly the way the motion was passed in the planning board meeting. I don't know that we can do anything about it now, but I just wanted to comment on it that when we make recommendations, I hope that if council changes it, then it should be a recommendation from council, not a recommendation from the planning board, because it was different than what we recommended, but that's.
Hassan,
That-
can you answer Member Paquette's question?
Well, actually, what council adopted in the last meeting was deferring the severance to after digging is done. And the recommendation of the PAC committee was not exactly doing a digging for this severance to be completed. So I think that is what Member Paquette is pointing out. There was
That's
no
right.
recommendation from the PAC committee to do some digging before this severance to be done. So it was rather a recommendation of Mayor McLaurin actually amended kind of this motion so that this digging to be a condition of this severance. So it was not, after all, a recommendation of PAC committee.
Yeah, and once it's passed by council, there's no going back at this point, but I'm merely making a comment that that was not exactly the recommendation of the planning board, that's all. And I still second the motion to accept the minutes.
All right, any other questions or comments? All right, all in favor? And carried. Disclosure of pecuniary interest. None heard. We will go to application presentations from the public. Hassan, is there a presentation from the public?
No, there is no presentation from the public, except that we have a gentleman on the phone, and he may have some comments about the severance application that was sent to you earlier. And actually, his comments are available in the package that was sent to our PAC committee members.
Okay, I read his comments, so I'll ask for him. I'll ask for his opinion and his comments after we have done the process of reviewing the application. So application number B22-2021, Holly Duquette, for one new lot and a lot addition from part of Lot 3, Concession 13, being remainder of parcel 18256 NIP, zoned rural. Recommendation from receiving Director of Planning and Development and comments from MTO, Hydro One, and Chris Major, comment attached. North Bay Mattawa Conservation Authority comments to follow. And I believe we received those also. So Hassan,
yes.
maybe you can give us the rundown. So you have a corporate memo that you presented to us. Maybe you'd like to speak on this now.
Well, since this property is located on the Highway 17, MTO had some comments about that. And they believe that that area is at capacity for entrance. And if the severance is done, there can't be any new residential entrance. So that, for example, if this property is sold, maybe in several years, which is possible, there can't be any residential entrance for the new lot. So this needs to be settled with MTO before this severance can be done in a manner that does not create any challenge for potential next buyer if wants to build some building and create some entrance for residential on that lot. So that was the comment from MTO, and it was reflected in my corporate memo. And also we had some comments from a member of our community who lives just close to this site, and I sent you that. And if you need, we can invite and actually ask Mr. Chris Major to walk us through his comments. Except than that, I think we can proceed to that.
All right, so we did receive comments from North Bay Meadow Conservation, and there are comments regarding the MTO, but I'm not quite, I don't quite understand the approach MTO about the possibility of creating a shared. So you're talking about MTO waiting, that we're going to defer it until MTO with the shared access easement. So until so we haven't heard from, we've heard from MTO, but not about.
We heard from MTO, but the rest of process is the applicant needs to settle this down with MTO, and it's not really related to the township to ask for this easement. This is actually a workaround for this severance to be done. And the issue with MTO needs to be settled because they do not allow any new residential entrance, which might be necessary for potential future buyer.
All right.
Can I elaborate on that?
In just 1 minute, please. Does anyone, does my committee have any questions or concerns, or would you be willing to wait until the person on the phone talks? I believe it's Chris, who's on the phone, Hassan? Chris Major.
Mr. Chris Major.
All right. I don't hear anything from my committee, so go ahead, Mr. Major.
Mr. Major.
Okay.
You are welcome to speak.
I briefly want to explain that I have 6 adjoining neighbors because I have a lot of property there. So that's how I'm involved in this. And the late Mike Blasino, when I moved there in 98, he explained to me on the map, on the existing plan, it shows an existing driveway, and it shows this long line. And that had a separate entrance to the actual entrance to the house that's in the part that's being severed. There's actually 2 driveways here. The one that's just west of the marked area on the plan, that was put in by TransCanada pipeline, and that gave them access. That continues right off that map all the way to the pipeline. And how I discussed this with Mike, he was a very calm and patient guy. And I had asked him, I said, is there any way you can control access to that? Because people were using that to get onto the back of my property off the main canoe trails. And he told me that it was a win-win situation, that the Canada Pipeline put in that road, which was very expensive. It's more of a cart path that goes all the way back to the pipeline so they could have access in case of emergency or whatever the case may be. He says the downside is that he says, I have no control who can use it because it's a right of way for them. It's more than a right of way. I can't remember the terminology. So when I got this plan and I saw that it said existing driveway, there's a little bit of deceit in that. That's just a cart pathway. I think on the MTO or M&R maps, it shows it as a cart path, but there's an actual existing driveway already where the word garage is on that plan. And that's what I sent in the photos to you. So what that would mean is that by servicing that you would have another driveway there. Well, there's 9 driveways just in that immediate area. That's just on Toner Flats when the double lanes comes down to that flat area of the new high, like they did the double lanes and made it longer. Then plus you have the traffic that are looking to pass, and there's a lot of traffic there. And we've had a lot of issues with buses being able to let the kids off because the speeds are so high. There's so many little driveways there. And there's still more driveways that are there that have culverts that they haven't developed yet. When I went to settle my property, I was talking to MTO. I didn't even go to the township. They told me I needed, I think it was 600 feet. I don't know what, I know it's not 200 feet. And so if that plan was to go through, they would, within about 15, 20 feet, they're at a double driveway for Toners, that commercial building. There's 9 just without even trying right there. So I know that MTO is concerned about that. There'll come a day when this new highway goes through that there is going to be a service road, because the highway is going to cross at my place, go in behind, and then cross over towards Maple Road. So that'll end up being a little hamlet. Then there probably would be less resistance to having things severed. But I know that I never tried to get a severance on my property because I just didn't think it was possible. So I think it set a bad precedent. And also, I don't think they'll be allowed to use that as a driveway, because the whole reason why it was there is that if there was an emergency with the Trans-Canada Pipeline, they're not going to want to ask who owns that car and can you move it, you know? You'd have to see it at the location to see, but that goes quite an extensive road all the way back to the pipeline. So that was an issue that I had. And also, if something did happen there, I had some issues when they had a solar park put in where surveys were done with iPhones and such, and it encroached on my property. And I find trying to deal with these things after the fact is very, very difficult. And that's why I'm on the phone with you today, because there has to be some oversight on this. This is not a back road to a back road. This is great. The first straightaway people see when they come into our township on the Trans-Canada Highway. And there's not a lot of oversight of what happens after the fact. So I think we need to get it right in the planning stages. And when I see them, it's just a slight, I call it the C. There is no existing driveway. That's not an existing driveway. That's a pathway. I don't even think they have ownership to. I don't know how you would find that out. I think MTO would know. But so that's my biggest concern is how many driveways are there for how many vehicles have to stop. And it causes, like, a lot of people won't come to our place if they have to make a left into my driveway, because you have logging trucks and all kinds of trucks bearing down. They pass you on the right and left. They don't stop. So that's why I wanted to make a comment about MTO, because I'm glad that they're involved, because I think this will all shake out, because they have a lot of good records on this stuff. That's it.
Okay, well, thank you. We do have a recommendation from our how do we call you, Hassan? The director of planning.
Do you mean director of planning?
Yes, director of planning and development. So I will read the motion, and I'll ask for a mover and a seconder after. That the planning advisory, is there anybody from the members that have a question regarding this? It's going to be asked to be deferred. So, okay, that the Planning Advisory Committee recommends to Council to defer consent application B22, 2021, Holly Duquette, pending comments from MTO with respect to shared access easements for the retain and sever portions. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by member Rowe and seconded by member Paquette. All in favor? And carried. Thank you, Mr. Manger.
Well,
Okay,
thank you, and I
so,
want to thank you guys for doing work that people don't realize you do.
well, thank you. Is there anything else? I will ask, there was a letter that went to council in regards to the meeting last October. And it was, how can I put it? A little disturbing. And there was mention of my committee members resigning. Is this the intent? Like, do you want to discuss the letter? I think it should be addressed. It was from the Planning Advisory Committee members.
Don't have a
Should I
problem
leave now?
addressing it. Sorry.
Yes,
is-
Mr. Major. Thank you for
Okay,
joining
thank
us.
you, guys. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Go ahead, Member Paquette.
I had an issue because it seemed like the motions the choices that were given to us, I had an objection to that, and we weren't given the opportunity to discuss it. I also had a concern that our chair had a conflict of interest with respect to the fact that the chair works for the Algonquins, and she was acting on behalf of the township. And afterwards, then when when this motion came to council, it appeared that the Planning Advisory Board are only an advisory board, but we have never, I can't remember, and I think it's been 25 or 26, maybe even longer years that I've sat on planning, and I can't ever remember where it was set out that we recommended that severance be granted, and then put in that motion who has to pay for it. And we were given three choices. The first choice, everything was in compliance with the severance. And then the next choice was to have the church pay for it. And then there was another choice, and I'm not altogether sure if I remember, it was have the church pay for the first and second application, or archaeological assessment. I just didn't feel, I felt that the planning board was thrown under the bus, and I don't feel that I would like to sit on a planning board when the planning board is treated like that. And I don't know if the other two members could speak. I know that Member Foisey was not in the meeting because he had declared an interest. And I just didn't feel that the meeting was run properly that night. And if Member Foisey had an interest, our chair had an interest, then the next person that could have come into the meeting would have been the mayor. And that's all I can say about that. I just didn't feel right about it, and I could very easily resign. I've been on the planning board long enough, but I don't expect to be treated like that in a meeting. And that's, if anybody else has anything to say, that's
I
fine.
agree with that. Yes, I agree with that. It had slipped my mind there for a few minutes. I'm getting too old, I think, sometimes. Yes, I'm quite in agreement with what Mary has just said.
Any comments, Member DeShine?
Yeah, I think we were pushed around. it was kind of pushed on us that you guys are the bosses, we're just the little people. That's how I felt.
All right. Okay, so I've heard from all three of you, and I will say that it's not up to anyone, if I can describe this correctly, it's not up to anyone to tell anyone that they have a conflict of interest.
Unless you can prove that they do.
Okay, so because I work for the Algonquins of Ontario, that does not mean that I'm getting any money into my pocket from that meeting. There was no money coming into my pocket resulting from that severance. None, zero. My second thing is some of us, a lot of us work for different corporations and you know, like you, Neri, you work for a lawyer firm. Is kind of, I don't know. We all belong to meetings, committees, and you know, much like financial committees, and you know, sometimes we think that we need to have a conflict of interest, declare it. On that hand, because I work for the Algonquins of Ontario, I'm also a member of the Mattawa North Bay Algonquins. I'm a member of the St. Bernadette Church, have been all my life. Every event that I've ever had, every volunteer, every event that's ever come, you'll have seen me volunteer my services, hours and days of service, volunteer. I'm not the only one. I'm sure there's a couple others on this committee that's done, but I'm also a resident of the township of Bondfield. The meeting was very hectic. No one raised their hands. No one waited to talk. It was very hectic. And if you listen to it, I was having a lot of problems with my internet. So you see words coming in and out. It was very hectic. And I appreciate that everybody's letting me talk right now, because that wasn't the chance there. So I wish it would have come out probably a little different, but I'm not going to apologize. And that's all I have to say about that right now. So I guess the ball's in your court.
Fine with me. I don't know about the other two. That's fine with me. If you want me to hand in my resignation, I can do that tomorrow morning.
That's entirely up to you.
Exactly. And I don't have a problem with it at all.
All right.
I think, and I now, with the one last thing I have to say, is the fact that you said to us, you're against the Algonquins, and I took very much offense with that. You did say that. If you looked at your at the meeting, you have a look at it. If you don't think you said that, I know you did, because I said I am not against anyone, and that's fine. I can hand my resignation in tomorrow morning.
And
Thank
I
you.
can too. And I can too.
I'm out of here.
Okay. Is there anything else? Then we will have a mover and a seconder that the meeting of the Planning Advisory Committee be adjourned at 6:27. A mover
I move.
and a seconder for Member Quizzy. And all in favor? And carried. Thank you.